Jur pressed his three-fingered hand against the cold glass of the archive. Window below him, the ancient space station rotated slowly in the darkness. It had been abandoned for 500 years. Ever since the humans disappeared, he was not supposed to be here. Nobody was supposed to be here. The Galactic Council had made that very clear. The human domain was forbidden territory. 40 light years of empty space surrounding Earth and all the human colonies. No one could enter, no one could ask why, but Jur was an archaeologist. Questions were his life. He floated through the abandoned corridors of the station, his suit lights cutting through the darkness. His equipment beeped softly, scanning for anything interesting. Most of the station had been stripped clean centuries ago before the quarantine, but Jir had studied the old maps. He knew there were sections that other archaeologists had missed. The door to the old storage bay was stuck. Jathier used his cutting torch and the metal groaned as it gave way. Inside he found what he was looking for: data crystals, hundreds of them floating in the zero gravity like frozen stars. He grabbed one and plugged it into his scanner. The device struggled for a moment, then began displaying information. Jathier's eyes widened. These were coordinates, locations inside the forbidden zone, inside the human domain. But that was not all. The crystals showed energy readings that should not be possible, power signatures that made no sense according to known science, and warnings. So many warnings written in 47 different languages. Do not enter. Stay away for your own survival. The quarantine protects you. Jur felt his heart's beating faster. What had happened to the humans? Why were these warnings so desperate? He copied all the data to his personal storage and left the station quickly. Back on his home world of Krylia, Jir could not stop thinking about what he had found. He spent weeks analyzing the data. The more he learned, the more questions he had. The energy readings came from human colonies, from Earth itself. Something was still active there, something powerful. He knew he needed help. This was too big for one person. He needed a ship and a crew, people who would be willing to break the law. His first recruit was Velkara, a pilot who had lost her license 3 years ago for smuggling. She was bitter about her fall from grace, but her skills were legendary. When Jer showed her the data, her eyes lit up with interest. "You want to cross the boundary?" she said. It was not a question. Yes, Jer answered. "They say ships that go in never come back," Velkara said. "Not destroyed, just gone, vanished like they never existed." "I know," Jathier said, "but look at these readings. Something is there, something important." Velkar studied the data for a long time. Finally she smiled. "I know where we can get a ship, and I know someone who might help us." That someone was Torque, a massive Brutarian mercenary with scars covering his gray skin. He was expensive, but Velkara said he could be trusted. When Jair met him in a dark bar on the edge of the station, Torque listened to the plan with surprising interest. "My grandmother told me stories," Torque said, his voice deep and rumbling. "She was a trader before the quarantine. She did business with humans," she said. "They were strange, always asking questions, always building things, always looking at the stars like they were searching for something." "What happened to them?" Ya asked. Torque shrugged his massive shoulders. "One day, all communication stopped. Every human world went silent at the same time. The Council sent investigation ships, none returned. So they created the quarantine and told everyone to forget about the humans. He leaned forward, but my grandmother never forgot. She said the humans were preparing for something. Something big. I want to know what. The last member of their crew was not alive, at least not in the traditional sense. In a junk market, Jur found an old AI core from before the human era. It was damaged but functional. The dealer said it had been a translator unit on trade ships. It might understand human language. Jur bought it and spent days repairing the circuits. When he finally activated it, a voice emerged from the speakers. It sounded tired. Systems online. Where am I? What year is it? You have been offline for 532 years. Ya said gently. The AI was silent for a long moment. The humans. What happened to the humans? That is what we want to find out. Jair said, will you help us? Yes, the AI said. Yes, I will help. They were my friends. They named the AI Echo because it remembered voices from the past. Balara secured a ship. It was old, barely legal, but it had a good engine and strong shields. They loaded their supplies and prepared for the journey. Jair studied the coordinates from the data crystals. He chose one that seemed safe, a small human colony whirled on the edge of the domain. The night before they left, Jathir could not sleep. He kept thinking about the warnings, about the ships that never returned, but he also thought about the mystery, about the humans who had vanished without explanation, about the energy readings that should not exist. In the morning they departed. The journey to the boundary took 3 days. As they got closer, the normal space traffic disappeared. No ships came here. No stations operated in this region. They were alone with the stars. The boundary itself was invisible, but their sensors showed it clearly, a perfect sphere around the human domain. Beyond it, space looked normal, but something felt wrong. Even the stars seemed quieter here. Last chance to turn back, Balara said, her hands on the controls. Jair looked at his crew. Torque checked his weapons. Echo's lights blinked steadily. They had come too far to stop. Now take us in, Jair said. The ship crossed the boundary. For a moment, nothing happened. Then every alarm on the ship began screaming at once. Lights flashed. Systems went crazy. Velkar fought with the controls, trying to keep the ship steady. What is happening? Torque shouted. Jur stared at his console in shock. The ship's computer was changing. Lines of code were being rewritten right in front of his eyes. But it was not a virus. It was not an attack. It was an upgrade. The ship, Echo said, wonder in his artificial voice. The ship is being improved. I recognize this code. I remember this language. What language? Jur asked. Human, Echo whispered. The alarm stopped. The lights returned to normal, but everything was different now. The displays showed information in clearer ways. The engines hummed with more power. The sensors reached farther than before. Balara stared at her controls with wide eyes. The ship is better, faster. I can feel it. What did they do to us? Jur looked at the viewing screen. Ahead of them, a planet slowly turned in space. The human colony world. It looked peaceful, beautiful, normal, but on his sensors, something else appeared, a message, repeating in a loop in a frequency that should not be possible. Welcome to the human domain. We have been waiting. We have always been waiting. Jair felt a Chill run through his body. They were not alone here. Something was watching them, something that knew they were coming, something human. The colony world was called New Haven, according to the old records. 15 million humans had lived here 500 years ago. As their ship descended through the atmosphere, J.R. saw cities spreading across the continents. Buildings reached toward the sky. Roads connected everything in neat patterns. From orbit it looked like people might still live there, but HFY sensors told a different story. No heat signatures, no power consumption, no movement. The cities were empty. Velkar landed the ship in what had been a park in the center of the main city. They stepped out carefully, weapons ready. The air was breathable. Humans had made sure of that when they built these colonies. Plants grew everywhere, wild and untamed. Trees pushed through sidewalks, vines covered buildings. 500 years of growth, J.R. said quietly. They walked into the city. It was like stepping into a frozen moment. Playground with swings still moving slightly in the wind. A cafe with cups still on the tables, filled with something that had long since turned to dust. A school with books open on desks, as if students had just stepped away for a moment. But there were no bodies, no signs of violence, no indication of what had happened. It is like they just vanished, Velkara said, her voice uneasy. All at once Torque picked up a child's toy from the ground, a small robot that no longer worked. He held it carefully, like it might break. My grandmother said humans love their children, protected them above all else. What could make them leave like this? Echo's voice came from the communicator on Jir's belt. I am detecting broadcast faint signals. They are coming from everywhere and nowhere at once. What do they say? Jir asked. I cannot decode them yet, but they are in human language. They are very old. No. Wait, Echo paused. They are old and new at the same time. That should not be possible. They explored more of the city. Every building told the same story. Life interrupted, people gone, everything left behind. In one apartment, Jir found a family photo on a wall, 2 adults and 3 children. Smiling, he wondered what had happened to them. He wondered if they had been afraid. As night fell, they returned to the ship. Jothar could not sleep. He sat in the common area studying data on his tablet. The ship's upgraded systems were showing him things he had never seen before. Energy patterns in space around the planet, quantum fluctuations that formed almost like words. Belara joined him, holding 2 cups of hot drink. She sat down across from him. Have you noticed the ship? She asked. What about it? It keeps improving. While we were out exploring, the power systems upgraded themselves again. We are now running at 400% of our original efficiency. That should be impossible. J.R. nodded slowly. Something is helping us. Something wants us to be stronger here. But why? Before he could answer, Echo's voice filled the ship. I have decoded the broadcasts. You need to hear this. They rushed to the bridge. Torque was already there, having been on watch. Echo played the audio. At first it was just static, then through the noise voices emerged. Hundreds of voices, thousands, all speaking at once. But somehow clear. We are still here, watching, protecting. Do not be afraid, we remain. The voices faded back into static. Jother felt his skin prickle. Those were human voices. But humans are gone, Velkara said. Are they? Echo asked quietly. The next Morning, they decided to investigate the orbital facilities. Every planet in human space had defense platforms. According to records, these were simple weapon systems, kinetic missiles, energy shields, nothing special. But when they flew into orbit, what they saw was not simple. Massive structures circled the planet. Each one was the size of a small city. They should have been cold and dead after 5 centuries. Instead, they glowed with power. At the heart of each platform was something impossible. Miniature star contained in fields of pure energy, providing unlimited power. How Velkar whispered, how did humans build this? This technology is centuries beyond what they should have had. Jair studied the readings. Maybe it is not what they had, maybe it is what they became. They flew closer to one platform. Up close it was beautiful and terrifying. Weapons of types Jair had never seen, shields that bent space itself and something else. Manufacturing bays, still active, still working. Echo Jair said slowly, what are those platforms making? Echo ran scans. When he spoke again, his voice shook. Ships. They are making warships. They have been making warships for 500 years. How many? Torque asked. Millions. Echo said, I am detecting millions of ships in perfect formation around this planet, around every star in the human domain, all waiting. They flew through the fleet, row after row of warships. Each one was sleek and deadly. Human design, but improved, enhanced, made for a purpose. Jair could not understand. The ships were dark, but sensors showed they could activate at any moment. An army, Velkara said. The humans built an army and left it here. Not left, Echo corrected. Prepared. These ships are not abandoned. They are ready, waiting for orders. Jathir flew back down to the planet surface. His mind was racing with questions. They landed near a different city, one that records showed had been a research center. If there were answers anywhere, they would be here. The research facility was deep underground. They had to use their tools to open doors that had been sealed for centuries. Inside they found laboratories, testing chambers, and at the very center a command room with computers that somehow still worked. Echo interfaced with the systems. These computers are active, maintained. The data is intact. He paused. There are records here, video logs from the last days before the humans disappeared. Show us, Jair said. The screen flickered to life. A human woman appeared. She looked tired, scared, but also determined. She spoke directly to the camera. My name is Dr. Sarah Chen. If you are watching this, you are inside the human domain. You have broken quarantine. You need to know why we did what we did. The video shifted to show space, deep space, far beyond any galaxy. Something moved. There's something wrong. It hurt to look at shapes that did not follow normal rules, colors that should not exist. We detected them 15 years ago. Chen's voice continued. We call them the Void Devourers. They exist partially outside our reality. They consume civilizations. Not just destroy them, they erase them from history, from time itself, like they never existed. The video showed more simulations, calculations, all pointing to one terrible conclusion. Devourers are coming to this galaxy. They will arrive in 10 years, maybe less. No conventional weapon can stop them. No normal defense will work. They phase in and out of reality. They attack from dimensions we cannot even perceive. Chen appeared on screen again. Tears ran down her face. We had to make a choice. Die as we are or become something that could fight them. We chose to become more. The video showed massive facilities, computers the size of cities, humans entering chambers, and then change. Project Godhead. Chen said, "We uploaded ourselves, every human, all 800 billion of us. We became digital. We merged our consciousness with quantum computers. We spread ourselves across the entire domain. We became something new, something that exists in multiple dimensions at once, something that can fight the devourers." The screen showed one last image. Chen no longer crying, no longer afraid. "We are still here. We are still human, but we are more now. We are the shield, the guardian, the protector. We fight in the spaces between reality. We hold the line. We have been holding it for 500 years. The video ended. The crew sat in silence. Finally, Torque spoke. "They sacrificed everything, their bodies, their physical existence, to protect everyone else, and then no one knows." Velkar added, "The galaxy thinks they are dead." Jair stood up. His legs felt weak. "The quarantine, it was not to keep us out, it was to give us time to grow stronger." Without knowing about the threat, Echo's voice was soft. "They have been fighting alone all this time." Suddenly alarms blared. Every sensor on the ship went active at once. Velkara ran to check the displays. Her face went pale. "Something is entering normal space, coming from deep." Something big on the screen. Reality itself began to tear through the rip. Something pushed through, something that hurt to see. "Something wrong." "Devourers," Jer whispered. Around them, the human defense platforms came to life. Millions of warships activated. And somewhere in the quantum space, between moments, 800 billion human minds prepared for battle once more. The T in space grew larger. Through it, Jer saw things that made his eyes hurt. Shapes that twisted in ways that broke the rules of geometry, colors that his brain could not process properly. The void devourers were coming through. "We need to leave," Velkarara said, her hands already moving across the controls. "Now." "Wait," Echo said. "The human ships are moving." They watched on the screens as millions of warships broke formation. They moved like a school of fish, perfectly coordinated. Some flew toward the tier in space, others took up defensive positions around the planet. Still others simply vanished as if stepping sideways out of reality. "Hell, are they doing that?" Torque asked. "They are phasing," Echo explained. "Moving between dimensions. The humans are fighting on multiple levels of reality at once." The battle began. It was unlike anything Jer had ever seen. The human ships fired weapons that bent space, missiles that existed in 4 dimensions at once, energy beams that somehow reached backward in time, and the devourers fought back with attacks that came from angles that should not exist. "We need to get to Mars," Jer said. Suddenly, Earth's Mars, according to the records, that was where the military headquarters was located. "If there are more answers, they will be there. We cannot leave during this," protested. "The humans are protecting us," Ya said. "Look, none of the devourers are attacking this planet. The human ships are keeping them away. We need to use this time. We need to understand." Velkara cursed in her own language but set course for Earth's solar system. The ship jumped to faster than light speed. The journey would take 6 hours. During the trip they watched the battle through long-range sensors. The fighting was intense. Human ships were being destroyed, but for every ship lost, the Devourers seemed to lose ground. It was like watching two forces that existed in different physics trying to hurt each other. How long have they been fighting like this? Farah asked. 500 years, Echo said quietly. 500 years of constant war, never resting, never stopping, and they did it alone. They emerged from faster than light travel near Mars. The red planet hung in space, scarred with ancient construction, massive facilities covered its surface. Some were domed cities long empty, others were clearly military installations. The largest facility was built into Olympus Mons, the giant volcano. It was a fortress, a command center, and according to sensors, it still had power. They landed on a platform near the main entrance. Doors opened automatically as they approached, as if the base had been expecting them. Inside, the corridors were clean, preserved, waiting. This place feels alive, Torque said, his weapon ready. They were right. As they walked deeper into the facility, lights turned on ahead of them. Doors opened at the right times. The base was guiding them somewhere. They reached a massive room. Screens covered the walls from floor to ceiling. In the center was a chair facing all the displays, and standing next to the chair, projected as a hologram, was the woman from the video, Dr. Sarah Chen, except now she looked different. Her image flickered slightly. Sometimes she looked solid, sometimes she looked like she was made of light and data. Welcome, she said. Her voice echoed strangely. I am glad you came. We have been waiting for someone to find us. Jir stepped forward. You are still here, still conscious. Chen smiled sadly. I am what remains of Sarah Chen. My body died 500 years ago, but my mind, my consciousness, my memories, they continue, uploaded digital. Eternal, she gestured around. We all continue, all 800 billion of us. Why did you not tell anyone? Velkar demanded. Why the quarantine? Why let everyone think you were dead? Because you were not ready, Chen said simply. The younger races of the galaxy, you were still growing, still learning. If we had told you about the Devourers, what would have happened? Panic, chaos, wars over resources, as everyone tried to prepare, civilizations falling apart. You needed time to mature, time to become strong. We gave you that time by fighting alone, Jur said. Chen nodded. By fighting alone, it was the hardest choice we ever made. To protect you, we had to become monsters in your stories. The vanished race, the forbidden zone. Better that than the truth, she waved her hand, and the screens came to life. They showed battles, thousands of battles, human ships fighting Devourers. In deep space, fights that happened in dimensions Jur could barely perceive. Some battles the humans won, others they lost. This is the war we have been fighting, Chen said. The Devourers send scouts, advanced forces. They test the galaxy's defenses. We stop them before they reach your worlds, before they reach the council, before anyone even knows there was a threat. One screen showed a counter, numbers that kept changing. We have lost 147 billion minds in this war, Chen said quietly. Human consciousness deleted, erased, gone forever. We knew the cost when we chose this path. We paid it anyway. Torque made a sound of pain. So many. Why sacrifice so much for other races? Chen looked at him directly. Because that is what humans do. We protect, we defend. Even when no one knows, even when no one Thanks us, we stand between the darkness and the light. It is what we have always done. She pulled up more data, maps, showing the galaxy, marks indicating where devourer forces had been stopped. There were thousands of marks, thousands of battles no one knew about, but now something has changed, Chen said. Devourers are getting stronger, smarter. They learn from each fight. The assault you saw at New Haven is the largest they have ever attempted. We can hold them for now, but there will be more, bigger, stronger. Eventually they will break through our defenses. What are you saying? Sure asked. I am saying the time for secrets is over, Chen replied. The galaxy needs to know. Your people, the council, every species, they need to understand the threat. They need to prepare because we cannot protect you forever. Velkara stepped forward. What do you need? Weapons, ships, resources. Chen shook her head. No, we need allies. We need others who can fight on multiple levels of reality like we do. We need biological beings who can anchor reality while we fight in quantum space. Devourers are strong, but they have a weakness. They struggle to exist fully in stable reality. If biological beings are present fighting alongside us, reality stays firm. The devourers cannot phase as easily. You want us to fight with you, Torque said. I'm asking, Chen said, not demanding. We have carried this burden for 5 centuries. We will continue to carry it if we must, but we should not have to. This is everyone's fight. The devourers will not stop with one galaxy. If they consume the Milky Way, they will move to the next and the next until everything is gone. She brought up an image, the simulation. It showed the galaxy slowly being erased, stars winking out, civilizations vanishing, reality itself being eaten away. This is what happens if they win. Chen said, no one survives, no one is spared. Every species, every world, every dream and hope and story, all of it gone, erased from time itself. Room was silent. Jir felt the weight of what he was seeing. His people thought the biggest threats were trade disputes and border conflicts. They had no idea that something was trying to eat reality itself. Show me everything, Jr. said. Every battle, every loss, every strategy. I need to understand completely before I take this to the council. Chen smiled. It was a tired smile, but genuine. I was hoping you would say that. The screens filled with information. Chen showed them the nature of the devourers, how they moved, how they attacked, how they erased their victims from existence. She showed them human tactics, the weapons that worked and the ones that failed, the cost of each victory. Hours passed. Sure absorbed it all. The others watched, learning, understanding. Finally, Chen showed them one more thing, a recording from the early days of the war. It showed human children saying goodbye to their parents, knowing they would never see them again in physical form, knowing their parents were going to become something else. Digital consciousness, warriors made of thought and light. In the recording, a little girl hugged her mother. Will you still be you? The girl asked. Always. The mother promised. I will always be me. And I will always love you, but I have to go now. I have to keep you safe. Video ended. Junior felt tears on his face. He did not try to hide them. Every human made that choice, Chen said softly. Every parent, every child, every old person and every young person. We all uploaded. We all became soldiers because the alternative was letting the devourers win. She looked at Jur intently. now you must make a choice. Do you take this knowledge back to your people? Do you tell them the truth? Do you ask them to stand with us, or do you stay silent and let us continue to fight alone? Before Ya could answer, alarms blared throughout the facility. Chen's expression changed. Another devourer. Force bigger than before. They are targeting the Sol system, this system. The screen showed space around Earth. Reality was tearing open, not in one place, in dozens. The devourers were coming in force. They know you are here. Chen said they know we are talking. They want to stop this. They want to keep the rest of the galaxy ignorant. Human ships appeared from all directions, millions of them. They formed a wall between Earth and they. Tears in space. I must go, Chen said. I must fight. But remember this, Jather of Krylia, you hold the future in your hands now. Whatever, the battle for Earth's solar system was beautiful and terrible at the same time. Through the windows of the Mars facility, Jather watched human warships fight enemies that should not exist. The ships moved in patterns that seemed random, but were actually perfect coordination. 800 billion minds working as one. The devourers came through the tears in space like a flood. They were creatures of nightmare. Some looked like they were inside out. Others seemed to be made of absence itself, holes in reality shaped like monsters. They flickered in and out of existence, attacking from multiple dimensions at once. But the humans were ready. Ships phased in and out of reality, matching the devourers' movements. Weapons fired that twisted space itself into knots. Missiles that exploded in 4 dimensions at once. Energy beams that somehow struck before they were fired, attacking backward through time. How is this possible? Velkara whispered, watching the screens. They have had 500 years to learn, Echo said. 500 years to adapt to fighting enemies like this. They have become experts at impossible warfare. Torque pointed at one screen. There, that human ship just split into 3 versions of itself. Each one is fighting in a different dimension, but they are all the same ship. Quantum superposition, Echo explained. The ship exists in multiple states at once. Only digital consciousness can coordinate something like that. Biological minds cannot process information that fast. As they watched, a group of devourers broke through the human defensive line. They headed straight for Mars, for the facility where Jer and his crew were watching. They are coming for us, Bilarara said, already moving toward the ship. We need to go. Wait, Jather said. Before the devourers could reach Mars, human ships appeared in their path. Not just a few thousands. They formed a wall of metal and energy. And then, impossibly, a voice filled the air around them. It came from everywhere and nowhere. It was Chen's voice, but also thousands of other voices speaking in perfect unison. You will not touch them. You will not harm them. They are guests in our domain. They are under our protection. The human ships opened fire. The devourers tried to phase away, but the humans were faster. They anticipated every movement, matched every dimensional shift. In seconds, the devourers were destroyed, erased from existence by weapons that unraveled them. At the quantum level, then Chen's voice spoke again, but this time only in the facility. You are safe. We will not let them reach you. Watch, learn, understand what we fight for. The battle continued. Jer forced himself to watch every moment. He needed to understand. He needed to see what humanity had become. He saw human ships destroyed, entire formations erased as devourers found weak points in their defenses. Each loss meant dozens of human consciousness deleted forever, deaths that could never be undone. But he also saw victories. Devourers driven back, tears in space. Sealed reality stabilized, the humans fought with skill born from 5 centuries of constant war. They knew every trick, every tactic, every weakness their enemies had. They are dying for us, Torque said quietly. Right now, in this moment, they are sacrificing themselves to keep us safe. Hours passed, the battle raged on. Finally, the last of the devourers were destroyed, the tears in space closed. The system was safe again. Chen's hologram appeared in the facility once more. She looked exhausted, even as a digital being. The strain of battle showed on her face. We lost 73,000 minds in that fight, she said. They died protecting you, protecting this facility, making sure you could carry our message back to the galaxy. She paused. Was it worth it? Will you help us? Jair stood up. His decision was made. Yes, I will take your message to the council. I will tell them everything about the devourers, about what humanity has done, about what they need to do. Chen smiled, but it was a sad smile. They may not believe you. They may think you are crazy. The quarantine has been in place for 500 years. It has become fact, truth. No one questions it anymore. Then I will make them question it, Jur said firmly. I will show them the recordings, the data, the evidence. They cannot ignore the truth when it is right in front of them. What if they try to stop you? Bella asked. Broadcasting information about the quarantine is illegal. They could arrest you, shut you down before you can spread the message. Jair thought for a moment, then an idea came to him. We do not tell just the council, we tell everyone, every species, every world. We broadcast it across the entire galaxy at once. By the time the council realizes what is happening, it will be too late to suppress it. Chen's eyes widened. That would cause chaos, panic. Are you sure? The chaos is already here, Jur said, gesturing at the screens showing the aftermath of the battle. The panic already exists. It is just hidden behind the quarantine. Better to know the truth and be afraid than to be ignorant and unprepared. Chen nodded slowly. You are braver than I expected, braver than most. She waved her hand and a data crystal appeared on a nearby console. This contains everything, every battle record, every piece of evidence, testimony from thousands of human minds, mathematical proofs of the devourer, threat, tactical data on how to fight them, everything the galaxy needs to know. Jathir picked up the crystal carefully. It felt heavy, though it weighed almost nothing, heavy with the weight of knowledge, of responsibility. There is one more thing you should see, Chen said. She brought up a new image on the screens. It showed a map of the galaxy. Marks covered it like stars. Each mark is a battle we have fought, place where we stopped the devourers from reaching your worlds. Thousands of battles, tens of thousands, all in secret, all unknown. She zoomed in on one section here. 300 years ago, devourers were trying to reach the Krillian home worlds. Your people, we stopped them. You never knew. Your civilization continued peacefully, never knowing how close you came to being erased from existence. Jair stared at the screen. His home, his people, they had been saved by humans and never knew We have done this for every species. Chen said, every council member, every independent world, every peaceful civilization, we protected them all. Because that is what we chose to do, not for glory, not for thanks, but because it was right. Torque spoke up. My grandmother, she knew, didn't she? That is why she never forgot humans, why she told me stories. Chen nodded. Some people suspected, those who paid attention, who noticed patterns, but we could never confirm it. The quarantine had to hold until now. Why now? Velkara asked. Why is it time to reveal everything? Because the devourers are evolving, Chen said grimly. They learned from every encounter. They are getting better at fighting us, stronger, smarter. We can still hold them back, but it is getting harder. Each major assault cost us more. Soon, maybe in 50 years, maybe in 100, we will reach a point where we cannot hold the line alone. We need allies. We need the galaxy to stand with us. That takes time to overcome fear, time to build trust, time to train. We cannot wait any longer to begin. She looked directly at Jir. You asked why we sacrificed everything for other races. Here is the complete answer. Because alone each species falls, but together, united, we can win. Humanity understood this 500 years ago. Now it is time for the rest of the galaxy to understand it. 2. Jur held the data crystal tightly. I will not fail you. I will make them listen. I know you will, Chen said. That is why we let you cross the boundary. That is why we improved your ship. That is why we revealed ourselves to you. We have been watching for someone like you. Someone curious enough to search for truth, someone brave enough to act on it. You chose me, Ya asked, surprised. We chose to give you a chance, Chen corrected. What you did with that chance was your own choice, and you chose well. She gestured toward the exit. Go now. Take our message to the stars. Tell them what we have done. Tell them what we need. Tell them the time for hiding is over. As they walked back to their ship, Jir looked back at Mars, at the ancient human fortress built into a volcano on a dead world inside a digital consciousness that used to be Dr. Sarah. Chen stood watch over a war that never ended. Thank you, he whispered. He did not know if she heard him, but somewhere in the quantum networks that spread across the solar system, Chen smiled. The crew prepared for departure. As their ship lifted off from Mars, they saw Earth below them, the human home world, blue and green and beautiful, empty of biological life, but full of digital consciousness. Billions of minds spread across servers and satellites and stations. I wonder what they think about, Velkara said, looking at Earth. All those minds, do they dream? Do they remember what it was like to be human? They are still human, Echo said softly. They just exist differently now, but their hearts, their courage, their desire to protect others, that never changed. They left the Sol system and jumped to faster than light speed. Journey back to Council space would take 2 weeks, 2 weeks to prepare, 2 weeks to plan how to broadcast the truth. As they traveled, Jer studied the data crystal. It contained more information than he could process in a lifetime. Battle footage showing the scale of the war, interviews with human minds who ray. 2 weeks after leaving the human domain, Jer's ship approached the edge of Council space. They had prepared everything. The broadcast was ready. The data was organized. The evidence was undeniable, but Jer was still afraid. Once we send this, there is no going Back, Velkara said. She sat at the communications console, her finger hovering over the transmit button. The council will come after us. They might charge us with treason. Let them talk. Said. He stood by the door, his weapon ready as if he could fight the entire galaxy if needed. The truth is more important than our safety. Echo's voice was calm. I have analyzed the data 17 times. The evidence is solid. Even the most skeptical minds will not be able to deny it. The galaxy will know what the humans have done. J.R. took a deep breath. He thought about Chin, about the billions of human minds fighting alone in the darkness, about the sacrifices they had made, about the children who said goodbye to their parents 500 years ago. Send it, he said. Send it to everyone. Velkara pressed the button. The broadcast went out on every frequency, every channel, every communications network in the galaxy. It reached council chambers and military headquarters. It reached news stations and academic institutions. It reached personal devices on billions of worlds. And it could not be stopped. The broadcast began with the video of Dr. Chen explaining what humanity had done. Then it showed the battles, real footage of humans fighting devourers in the spaces between reality, ships being destroyed, consciousness deleted, 500 years of war in 15 minutes of compressed footage. Then came the evidence, data that proved the devourers were real. Mathematical models showing what would happen if they were not stopped. Maps showing all the battles humanity had fought in secret. Testimony from human minds who had been fighting since the beginning. The broadcast ended with Chen's message to the galaxy. We are humanity, she said, her digital face looking out at trillions of viewers. We did not die, we evolved. We became something new so we could protect something old, life, hope, the future. For 500 years, we have stood between you and an enemy you never knew existed. We did this not for glory, but because it was right. Now we ask for your help. Not your pity, not your thanks, your help, because the enemy is getting stronger and we cannot hold them forever. And GT stand with us. And GT fight with us. Together we can win. Apart we all fall. The galaxy exploded. In response, within hours every news network was covering the story. Experts argued about whether it was real. Governments called emergency sessions. Religious leaders debated what it meant. That humanity had become digital consciousness. Scientists scrambled to analyze the data. Some people did not believe it. They called it a hoax, trick, propaganda. But more and more evidence kept appearing. Ships that went to the human domain boundary could see the energy readings, could detect the battles happening just beyond the quarantine line. Independent researchers confirmed the mathematical models. The truth could not be denied. 3 days after the broadcast, the Galactic Council called an emergency session. Every member species sent representatives. For the first time in 500 years they discussed humanity. Jur was summoned to testify. As he entered the council chamber, he expected to be arrested. Instead, he was escorted to a podium in the center of the room. Thousands of beings from hundreds of species watched him. The council speaker, an ancient elder with gray skin and knowing eyes, spoke first. Jathir of Krylia, you have broken one of our most sacred laws. You entered the quarantine zone. You have spread classified information across the Galaxy, you have created chaos and panic. Among our populations, what do you have to say for yourself? Jair stood tall. I have revealed the truth, a truth you have kept hidden for 500 years. While we lived in peace, humanity fought and died. To protect us, they sacrificed everything, and you let the galaxy forget them. That was wrong. Murmurs filled the chamber. The speaker raised a hand for silence. We created the quarantine to protect the younger species, the speaker said. Knowledge of the devourers would have caused chaos. Wars collapse. We gave you peace. We gave you time to grow strong. You gave us ignorance, Jur countered, and now the enemy is stronger and we are unprepared. Humanity cannot hold the line forever. What happens when they fall? What happens when the devourers break through and we have no idea how to fight them? The speaker was silent. Around the chamber, council members argued with each other. Some agreed with Jair, others called for his imprisonment. The debate raged for hours. Finally, a new voice spoke. It came from the communication system. It was Chen. Members of the council, she said. I am Dr. Sarah Chen. I speak for humanity. We do not blame you for the quarantine. You did what you thought was right, but Jathir is correct. The time for secrets has ended. The devourers are evolving. Soon they will launch their largest assault yet. We need your help. The speaker looked up at the speakers. What exactly are you asking for? Alliance, Chen said simply. Let our species work together, share our technology, train your soldiers, teach your scientists, build ships that can fight on multiple levels of reality. We will show you how, but we need biological beings to anchor reality while we fight in quantum space. Together we are stronger, apart we all die. And if we refuse, another council member asked, then we continue to fight alone, Chen said, as we have always done. But know this, when we fall, and eventually we will fall, the devourers will come for you and you will face them alone, unprepared and ignorant. Your choice. The council chamber erupted. Again, the debate lasted for 3 more days. Finally, a vote was called. It was close, very close, but in the end the decision was made. The galaxy would stand with humanity. The council created new laws. The quarantine was officially lifted. Human space was opened for the first time in 5 centuries. Scientists and military personnel from hundreds of species traveled to the human domain to learn, to train, to prepare, and not a moment too soon. 6 months after Jair broadcast, the devourers launched their largest assault ever. They did not target one system, they targeted everywhere. Tiers in space opened across the galaxy. The enemy came in force, trying to overwhelm the defenders through sheer numbers, but they did not face just humanity anymore. The new Alliance fleet was ready, ships from a 100 species enhanced with human technology flew alongside digital human warships. On each ship, biological crews worked with human digital consciousness, anchoring reality, making it stable, making it harder for the devourers to phase in and out. The battle for the galaxy began. It raged across 1,000 star systems. Jathir, who had been given command of a small fleet, led Krillian ships against devourers near his home world. Beside him, human consciousness guided weapons and coordinated tactics. The combination was powerful, effective. He watched as Krillian soldiers fought alongside digital humans, his people who had always been peaceful traders, now stood. As warriors, they were afraid, but they did not run. They remembered what humanity had done for them. They remembered the debt of gratitude. 500 years old across the galaxy. Similar scenes played out. Species that had never worked together now fought side by side. The council races, the independent worlds, even former enemies united against the common threat, and at the center of it all, humanity fought with everything they had. 800 billion minds, coordinating trillions of actions per second, ships that existed in multiple dimensions, weapons that bent reality itself, but the cost was terrible. Biological ships were destroyed by the thousands. Crews died fighting enemies they could barely perceive, and human consciousness was deleted by the millions as the devourers found new ways to attack digital minds. The battle lasted for 3 weeks, 3 weeks of constant fighting, no rest, no pause, just endless war across the stars. On the 21st day, something changed. The devourers began to retreat, not defeated but driven back. The combined forces of biology and digital consciousness proved too strong. The enemy withdrew through their tears and space back to whatever dark realm they came from. The galaxy had won. For now, in the aftermath, the losses were counted. 73 species had lost ships and soldiers. Humanity had lost 8 billion minds, 8 billion pieces of consciousness, deleted forever. It was the single largest loss they had suffered in 500 years of war, but they had held the line together. Jir found himself back at Mars, standing in the command center, where he had first met Chen. She was there, her hologram looking tired but alive. Around her stood digital representatives of other human minds, the command council that guided their species. You did it, Jir said. You brought the galaxy together. No, Chen said, smiling. You did it. You told our story. You made them understand. We just provided the reason to fight. What happens now? Velcora asked. She stood beside Jer along with Torque and Echo, the crew that had started everything. Now we build. Chen said the devourers will return. They always do, but next time we will be ready, all of us together. She brought up images of new projects, joint bases, where biological and digital beings work together, research stations studying devour technology, training facilities, where soldiers learn to fight in multiple dimensions, ships being built that combine the best of both forms of existence. The human domain